All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we are actually live in full effect right here with West Coast finest. We got Dregs 1 right here, live on the line, man. How are you doing this evening?
What's up, everybody? I'm doing great, man. Thank you, Immortal, for reaching out and putting me on your platform. It's great to be here with all the folks up there in Canada.
Hey, man, first and foremost, you are most certainly welcome, man. It's definitely an honor to have you on the radio station airwaves this evening, man. We most definitely been digging your music down here in Canada, man, so it only seems fitting to slide you into the radio station airwaves.
That's what's up, man. That's part of the independent tradition I come from here in the Bay Area. We like to reach out and touch other people, man, so it's always dope when the music spreads organically to other places.
But also, man, I do know that you're a very, very busy individual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive right into this broadcast, man. But I want to take you back to the beginning of your amazing career so far, man, and just ask, how did you actually get into the music industry initially? Because I know everybody always has a phenomenal backstory.
Yeah, well, first, I appreciate that. And second, it all, again, is another thing that just happened organically. Just growing up in San Francisco, it's like hip-hop was everywhere. So from the graffiti to the music passing by in cars and boom boxes, I got really soaked up. I soaked it up. And the independent scene out there is crazy. So, I grew up seeing, stickers for Rappin' Forte or San Quinn and flyers and posters. And so I kind of saw that there was this underground culture around music, a lot of independent artists, and Too Short being probably the main one, right? He started selling tapes independently. So once I kind of figured that culture out, it was kind of easy for me to be like, all right, I'm going to just do what these brothers is doing. I'm going to record some stuff. I'm going to press it up myself. I'm going to get some posters, get some stickers, get some flyers. And honestly, I did that at 19 with my crew, Gas Mask Colony, and we pretty much been doing it independently ever since.
And also, man, speaking of that group as well, the Gas Mask Colony, man, that was actually next on my list, and I have to ask, man, how did you actually get connected with the other three members? And of course, what's the origin story behind that amazing hip hop group?
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate the interest. I'm sure the other brothers do as well. We go back as far as some of us go back to elementary school, middle school, high school, but basically we all grew up together. We kind of represented the outcasts of our group. We're a mixed group, white, black, Asian, Latino. There's a whole bunch of us, and we didn't really quite fit in with anybody, but we were all kind of into the same things, which is some of us were into skating, all of us were into graph and music, and that's pretty much how we all came together, freestyling in the park. That was our main thing. House parties. We kind of turned house parties into mini concerts, just off freestyles, beatboxing, instrumental, and that kind of gave us the confidence. People kind of love seeing us all together, all these different races come together, these different styles, representing where we're from in San Francisco. People showed us a lot of love, so we kind of just ran with that.
And also, as well, in the year 2006, the Gas Mask Colony actually released the EP titled Top Bottom. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners the story behind that amazing project, and of course, is it still available to actually be streamed or purchased today?
Oh, thanks, man. It is around to be streamed. You can find it on the streaming sites. See, that's kind of crazy now that you're saying it. 2006, bro, I don't know if you believe it, but we were kind of ahead of the curve with the internet back then. That CD Top Bottom, it hit the internet on CD Baby in 2006, and it went all over the world. Just from us having that presence so early on, before everything had moved to the internet. So Top Bottom, that's kind of our saying. When we're in the park, we would always have our 40 ounces of brew, and that's kind of the way we cheers. We hit the top of the 40 ounce and then the bottom of the 40 ounce. So that's Top Bottom, and that was kind of a collection of songs we all made during high school. So it kind of all captures that energy. You can still find CDs of it on eBay every now and then. It'll pop up, but it's kind of become like a collector's item.
And I gotta say as well, just when you actually said like hitting at this topping CD Baby, man, like back in 2006, that was kind of unheard of, man, because CD Baby was just starting to become a thing back then.
Yeah, we were. I mean, I was observing all these things. You know, I was seeing kind of this trend work with the internet and just how it was being used to find out about things. This was like it's kind of around MySpace first started getting popular. I was seeing how that was able to make music move. I mean, basically, what we learned as independent artists is whatever outlet you can find for your music to exist in, you should take it. So if it's in the streets, take it. If it's in the stores, take it. If it's on the internet, take it. So yeah, we were ahead with. I wanted my music to get out there to other people, and I was even ahead of that too. In like 2007, January 2007, my first solo mixtape, I put it on the internet for free. This was like 3 years. It was crazy at the time, but you know, people, you know, that became standard. Free mixtape, download online. We were kind of seeing these. We saw this transition happen, going from CDs and to the internet. So we were right there the whole time.
And also as well, I gotta say, man, just going back to that record here quickly, man, the one song that I always really liked off top bottom was actually, I believe it was the bonus track, Stay Ready, that I know that you were also the producer for as well.
Wow, yeah, you're really digging, brother. Man, thanks. That was our first, that was our first song ever recorded with all four of us, man. We made that when we were like 17 years old, bro. That was one of the first beats I ever made, man. So that's crazy to me to think that, you know, we recorded it. We recorded that in the like the after school program in the Sunset District, man, at the little clubhouse. Sunset Youth Services, shout out to them, man. We made that there at the free studio they have for youth. And as soon as we brought it outside in the van, we were bumping it in the van on CD, and all the kids were kind of coming around it, and they were digging it. That kind of let us know, like, oh, okay, we can actually do this. So it's crazy to be talking to you about that so many years later.
I gotta say, time definitely does fly, man. It's crazy to actually look back at a time like that and be like, damn, that was actually like close. It sounds bad to say, man. 2026, so like less than 5 years. That's gonna be 20 years, man. That's crazy.
It's beautiful, man, and it just goes to show. I'm one of them cats. Like, I'm 34 right now. I'm not one of them dudes. It's like, oh, I'm getting old. Like, I feel like my next year is always my best year, and you know, I hope anybody listening to this, if they have creative dreams, man, you never know. But like these small things you do as a kid, they could last for 15, 20 years. They could make these impressions and go all over the world. So you never know. It's always good to just stick it out and just do it, make it happen.
And also, man, jumping ahead in the timeline a little bit to 2010, yourself and Equipto actually came together to create the collaborative project titled The Generation Gap. I was wondering if you can tell our listeners a bit more about this phenomenal project, and of course, how did yourself and Equipto initially get connected?
Oh, right on. I mean, growing up in San Francisco, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of independent artists out there. Crypto is definitely one that I had heard of and listened to growing up. And I got introduced to him personally because we had our studio. Gas Mask Quality had a studio in the Richmond district of San Francisco. So this was like 2005, 2006. A lot of cats would just slide through. We had Burner slide through. Him and Equipto were working on the album around that time. A lot of the other guys from Board Stiff would come through, like Big Sean and Mint Rock, that's Crypto's crew. So Burner brought Crypto over, Board Stiff brought Crypto over, and it was really only a matter of time. He vibed really well with the beats I was making, and it was only a matter of time before we just had a bunch of songs just kind of done on the strength. And he was like, yo, we should put these together. So I kind of just took it and ran with it, man. You know, I did a lot of the beats and the production and a lot of the design and the planning and the marketing for that album. And a lot of people regard it as a classic, so I'm proud of that. I'm proud of those times.
And also as well, in 2016, you actually teamed up with a Japanese producer, and I want to say first and foremost, if I get this name wrong, my apologies. But Il Sugi to release the project Universal Language. I was wondering, how did yourself and that producer get connected? And of course, what was it like just working with an international producer at that from the other end of the world?
Yeah, you said his name right. Shout out to Ilsugi. I said his name wrong. I said Ilsugio. I'm thinking of Tokyo. Shout out to Ilsugi out there in Tokyo, man. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that you asked about that because it kind of connects back to our previous conversation about CD Baby. Like I said, being on that market, people were looking for San Francisco, specifically San Francisco raps at the time. So a record store in Japan had ended up buying a bunch of the first Gas Mask Colony album. And so those kind of went all over Japan. And from there, that's kind of how Ilsugi had, he told me he bought that album when he was in high school in Japan, which is crazy. So eventually he reached out to me online and was like, yo, I got beats. And eventually I listened and I was just like, whoa. And he came over to visit the U.S. and he stayed at my crib. And it turns out, like, part of his visit, he was going to L.A. around the same time I was going to L.A. for a show. So he stayed at my crib. We built heavy. We went to the studio. We hooked up with a bunch of people. We drove to L.A. We made even more music. And it was like, man, let's do this. Let's make an album. This record label in France, Cascade Records, they reached out and pressed the album on vinyl. It sold really well. And I've done a bunch of projects with Sugi since. I've been over to Tokyo, and I've gotten to meet the fans and the audience. They love San Francisco. They love Dregs 1. They love the music. They know the lyrics. And, here I am. I'm talking about a Japanese record on a Canadian radio station, man. It's like hip-hop is international, man. It's a universal language, which is what we call the album. And there's no national boundaries, no color boundaries. This is all the culture, you know.
And I've heard crazy stories as well that people out there in Japan, they go crazy over real rugged raw hip hop, man. So there's no doubt in my mind that they didn't buy up all those CDs out back then in 2006.
Yeah, they appreciate certain aspects of American culture that go unappreciated in America, because everything over there is different because they have a homogenous society where it's all built around, ancient Japanese culture. So when they find something like San Francisco hip-hop where they relate to, actually the neighborhoods look similar to ours in some ways. Like the struggles are similar. It's like, do you want to be this creative person, or do you just got to get a job and work in a factory or something like that? Like, these are the kind of things they're dealing with. And so, yeah, bro, like when you come over and you represent this thing that they've been seeing on TV and on the internet, and you're real about it, they love it, they appreciate it. Whereas in America, it's like, man, everybody raps. You can even meet famous rappers pretty easily. But when you hit other places like that, the love is real. Like I said, they knew my lyrics and everything, man. They don't even speak English. So it was a trip.
And also as well, man, on September 3rd of 2021, you actually released the phenomenal 10-track album titled The Corner Store Poetry. I was wondering if you can shed some light on this newer album of yours, and of course, do you have any hard copies available for the old school listeners that do still love that CD format?
Thanks, brother. Yes, I do have copies available for order on my Bandcamp website. So that's Dregs1, DREGSONE.bandcamp.com. I ship CDs to Canada quite frequently. So anyone out there, I'd be happy to bless you. And I'm glad you like it, man, because that album is just, it's easy for me to make projects nowadays, man. I got a lot of dope beats. I got plenty of inspiration to write about. I'm in the studio all the time. So these concepts are just coming easily to me. The idea of the corner store poetry is just basically, I'm just giving you some game from where I grew up, man. The corner store, the neighborhood corner store is something we all relate to. And I'm just kind of kicking different facets of this life over some really banging beats. I like to be humble, but I gotta say, like, you said it's 10 tracks, right? But all 10 tracks of these are bangers to me. I just gotta say that.
And I gotta say as well, man, it's really cool that you actually still have the hard copies available, man. Because unfortunately nowadays, man, when it comes to just like hip hop and all genres of music, CDs are getting scarce, man. So it's actually pretty pretty crazy to actually say, like, old school listeners, old school people like CDs, man. It makes my ass feel old.
Man, it's a trip. You'd be surprised. I just did a community show at a high school, and this kid had to be like 12 years old. He came up and asked me for a CD. But I'm not slipping with my pimping, man. I'm like I said, any platform my music can exist on. I got vinyl, I got CDs, I even got cassette tapes for one of my releases. Like, yeah, I'm keeping that alive, and I'm still selling them out the trunk, and in some of these mom and pop stores, which you should all go out and support your local stores, man.
And I gotta say as well, it's pretty cool that you actually had that experience. I had a young high school kid actually walk up to me and ask me what I had in my hand when I was looking through CDs at a record shop, and he legit was like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me right now?" I was like, talk to your mom and dad. They'll explain it. And I just shook my head. I'm like, "Oh man."
Yeah, that's a little too deep to get into at the record store.
But also, in his defense, mainly people go there to buy records. But at those mom and pop record shops, man, you never know what CDs you're gonna find in those little piles.
Yeah, I mean, it's a trip. They don't make cars with CD drives anymore. They don't make computers that even have them. But like I said, I mean, I went to Japan. A lot of people still listen to CDs out there. There's some people that they keep it lit, and I'll just give out some free game to any artist, man. If you're not meeting that demand, you're slipping, because I guarantee you it's out there. You might not even know it.
And also as well, October 1st, so just days ago, man, you actually released the new single titled "Cold Outside." I was wondering, what can our listeners actually expect from that song when they actually head on over to Spotify and stream it, if they haven't already done so, of course?
Yeah, so that's a dope song with me and Burner, who's definitely blowing up, doing his thing right now, and the homie Vital from Vallejo. Some people might remember from a lot of his entertainment releases. That song is a little different from most singles. It's not necessarily like a party type of track. It's more reflective. It was a concept that Burner actually came up with when we were in the lab about, it's a song that kind of reaches out to the lost people in the world, kind of describes what's going on in the streets, but also gives you a little bit of hope, a little bit of motivation to get through some of these struggles. So it's more of a deeper, reflective kind of joint, but it's dope. It's doing well so far, so I hope people go and check it out.
And I also read as well that actually this week, man, you actually are going to be performing and opening up actually for the one and only Afro Man. I was wondering, for the listeners that are going to be in your area come the 15th, what can they expect from your performance? And of course, where can they actually snag themselves some last minute tickets?
Yeah, man, that's going to be dope. I got a pretty good run of shows coming up. October 15th with Afro Man and Sebastian Poole. October 17th, the legend Andre Nicotina is having a festival in Oakland. So these tickets, if you go on my website, you should be able to find them. You can find them on my Instagram too, Dregs _1 at the link in that bio. And that show is going to be fun, man. I'm actually I put a lot of pride into my show. I try to make it more than just a dude up there rapping. So, I got my DJ who supports me, Young Baghead. He plays a lot of my jams. I might have some dancers up there shaking it. And I got the OG who's in my recent video, Slight Work. I think he's going to pop up on stage and pop some bottles with me. So, it's going to be with Afro Man, too. So it's going to be an entertaining night.
Oh man, I most definitely agree, man. How can you not go wrong with Dregs 1 and Afro Man in one night, man? If I could slide out there to the Bay, man, I'd most definitely be there in a heartbeat.
Oh, right on, man. Well, hopefully we'll do this interview in a couple of years. I'll be able to get you that private jet, man.
Hey, man, you never know, man. I always look at it like this. You never know what's going to happen in a year or so, man. So most definitely, man, I'm up for that.
Hell yeah, right on, man.
But I gotta ask as well, man. Other than promoting this brand new record and single, and of course the amazing concerts you got coming up, what is next for yourself, man? Is there anything we happen to miss during this broadcast here on the radio station? Anything else you still want to talk about or promote? We still got you here live.
Man, well, I'm working, so I hope people stay tuned in with me. If you go on my YouTube channel, if you just type in Dregs 1. I'm dropping at least 2 videos a month usually. I got more singles coming. I haven't really announced it, but I'll say, yeah, you know, I got more work coming out with Burner. That's going to be dope. I got more solo singles dropping. I'm in the studio every week, so I'm just basically, I'm working, man. I'm working. I got merchandise. I got CDs. I got clothing. I got shows. I got my music. Things are going better than ever. And I'm not going to stop, man. And I really appreciate you and everybody else out there in Canada that shows support to not just my music, but underground independent hip-hop, period, man. It's much appreciated.
And also, Dregs, this is the time in the interview, man, right quick before I wrap things up, that I give a chance for the individual that does slide through the radio station airwaves, just like a chance to give, like, shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, but most of all, man, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything you got going on, if they're not already doing so.
Yeah, I want to give a big shout-out to my team at Audio Vandals. You know, these folks are working hard to support me and the other artists on our small label. We're just getting off the ground, but we got so much accomplished and we got so much more music coming, and I really appreciate it. The one song that's out right now that people can go check out too is Fog Mode, featuring Andre Nicotina, and the Fog Mode album got a lot of other slappers on it. But now, other than that, bro, I appreciate you. Much love, and thank you, bro. Shout out to everybody out there in Canada. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, you are most certainly welcome, man. Thank you so much again for just giving us a bit of your time, and hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon. But for now, definitely have yourself a wonderful night out there in the Bay.
You too, brother. I would love to do this again. Anytime you need to support something, just holler.
Hey, man, most definitely. Same goes on this end as well, man. I definitely appreciate you.
All right, brother. Peace.